So starting for the Lions today is Cyrus Campos at shortstop, Jaron Morris catching, Will Curcio at third base, Cade Cook in right field, Denaj Williams at second base, Morgan Holiday at DH, Brody Genter at first, Jack Reynolds in left field, Logan Stradley in center, and Josh Leak on the bump.
And Leak's first pitch is outside and low for ball one.
So a new face in the lineup for the Lions. Jack Reynolds, I think he's making his first start today.
And that ball is high for ball two. The 2-0. And that one appeared to be off the mark. Count now 3-0. Here's the pitch. And that one sails over his back, so it's a 4-pitch walk to start off the game. The Lions are currently missing a very key contributor to their lineup, but also their defense, as Caleb Ramsey is currently injured. See if maybe the Lions can adapt with this big loss. Pitch from Leak, and that one's in there for strike one. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed, strike two. Count now 0-2. Runner at first. Here's the offer. Swing and a miss, strike three. So Leak starts off the game with a 4-pitch walk, but quickly goes 3 and out to the next batter. So now 1 out, runner at first. That'll bring up the 3-hole Stewart. First pitch to Stewart is high and inside, ball one. The 1-0 from Leak is in there. Count now 1-1. And Leak steps off. So the 1-1, and that pitch is in there. Count now 1-2. Leak in a very good position right here to record his second strikeout of the inning. The 1-2. Swung on and missed on a very ugly swing. Now 2 outs here in the top of the first. That'll bring up the 4-hole.
Seems like that first walk was a real wake-up call for a Leak. He's turned around and is making these Lindsay Wilson hitters look silly.
Leak offers. And that pitch is low and outside for ball one. Little bit of wind out today, blowing out to right field.
Definitely some of the best baseball weather we've had all season.
Absolutely, as that pitch misses outside, count now 2-0. Count currently 2-0, runner at first here, 2 outs. Leak's pitch is low, count now 3-0. This is the second time this inning Leak has fallen behind 3-0. Did to the first batter, and now here we are again. Here's the 3-0. And that one is just inside. So another 4-pitch walk from Leak after retiring the last 2. And now runners will be at first and second for Lindsay Wilson. Pitch from Leak is swung on and missed. Lions looking to get a win here today as they had just an okay weekend at Columbia International, tanking 1 out of the 3 games. Next pitch from Leak is fouled off to the first base side. Count now 0-2, so Leak once again in a good position to get a strikeout, but also in a really good position to get out of this inning. Here's the 0-2. Swung on and hit fouled off towards the first base side. So we'll do it again. Count remains 0-2 here. 2 outs. Runners at first and second. Here's the 0-2 from Leak. And that pitch is high and inside. Count now moves to 1-2. And he'll take a step off. May have missed the sign. Here's the pitch. Swung on and chopped to the third baseman. Curcio gloves it, throws it across the diamond. Easy catch right there. And that's the third out. So 2 4-pitch walks on the inning, but nothing doing for Lindsay Wilson. Let's see if the Lions are the first ones to get on the board after this break. Here we now go in the bottom of the first. And the first batter for the Lions is Cyrus Campos. Here's the first pitch. And that pitch just off the mark, count 1-0. Wind kind of shifting around now, as in the top of the first, it was blowing out to right field, now blowing in. And the next pitch is outside, count now 2-0. Here's the 2-0. And Cyrus swings and hits a drive deep to right center, off the scoreboard and gone. See ya! Ball was hit on a line, hit about dead middle of the scoreboard, and the Lions are first on the board.
Cyrus came out ready to go. Got up early, got the pitch he wants. He drove it.
Really great start for the Lions right here. And next batter will be Jaron Morris. I would say another dangerous hitter, but it seems like the entire lineup is just full of dangerous hitters. First pitch to Jaron is cracked deep to left center. And that ball's way gone. See ya! Back-to-back jacks for the Lions. And it's quickly 2-0 here.
Back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches for the Lions.
That ball was absolutely smoked. It was hit on a line, and if that net was not there in left field, that might have cleared the batting cages.
We're 3 pitches into the game. We've already got a mound visit.
Can't say I blame him. I mean, 2 rockets off of 2 pitches, and especially with the lineup coming up in Will Curcio, Cade Cook, and Denaj Williams.
Wait, 4 pitches in the game. Excuse me.
So like I said, the batter now, Will Curcio, another guy who, I mean, he's just had a good year all around so far. Here's the first pitch, and that pitch is in there for strike 1. The 0-1 to Curcio, and that one's outside and low. Count now evens at 1-1. Here's the 1-1 delivery, and that one is low. Count moves to 2-1. The 2-1 to Curcio is swung on and chopped foul down the third base side. So here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's called strike 3. So Lindsay Wilson finally gets the first out of the inning after giving up back-to-back bombs, and that'll bring up the captain, Cade Cook. First pitch to Cook is in there for strike 1. The 0-1 to Cook is, he checked his swing, and they're going to say he didn't go. Count now evens at 1-1. Next pitch to Cook is chopped to the third base side. Third baseman gloves it, throws it across. First baseman picks it. There's out number 2. So now the batter will be Denaj Williams, who also has had just a phenomenal year at the plate so far. First pitch to Williams is swung on a hit to the second baseman, who gloves it, throws it to first, and there's a third out. So Brian gets on the board first off of 2 solo shots back-to-back on back-to-back pitches. Let's see if Lindsay Wilson can respond after this break. Here we now go in the top of the second. New face on the mounds for the Lions as Josh Leake is taken out and Tyler Gray is put in. Lions currently lead 2-0 off of 2 back-to-back home runs and back-to-back pitches last inning. First pitch from Gray is low and inside, 1-0. Next pitch from Gray. And that one runs in and gets him. So Lindsay Wilson quickly has their leadoff guy on. The second inning that the leadoff has reached for Lindsay Wilson. Last inning, it was a 4-pitch walk. This one, a hit by pitch. And the next pitch from Gray is low. Count now 1-0.
It's definitely an interesting move to take Leake out of the game right there.
Next pitch is fouled off. So count now even at 1-1 here. Sounds like we also may have some action in the Lion bullpen. Here's Gray's 1-1. And swung on and hit high and deep to center field. Stradley's on the warning track, and he'll run back and make an excellent catch. So there's the first out of the inning on a ball that was absolutely smoked, but it was hit to the deepest part of the ballpark, and Stradley just does not miss those fly balls. So here's Gray's pitch, and that ball is low. So once again, he falls behind 1-0. Next pitch is hit high in the infield. Williams and Campos next to each other. Campos is going to call it, and he'll squeeze it for out number 2. Now 2 outs here. Runner still at first.
There's a 9-hole stepping in the box for Lindsay Wilson.
Gray's first pitch is low for ball 1. Here's the 1-0. And that ball is roped to right field, but Cook has a beat on it, and he'll squeeze it just before it hits the ground. So now there are quickly 3 outs as nothing comes by the hit by pitch. Lions still lead 2-0, and we'll be right back after this break. Here we now go in the bottom of the second, and the first batter for the Lions is going to be Morgan Halliday. Halliday had a big grand slam the last time the Lions played at home, and actually had another grand slam this past weekend at Columbia International. And he'll take the first pitch for strike 1.
Halliday stepped in with the injury to Zach Terry, and he hasn't looked back. He's been red hot since filling that role.
Next pitch is skied out to left field. Is it going to have enough? It does! See ya! An Oppo Taco for Morgan Halliday.
Now that's back-to-back innings where the Lions have started off with a home run.
Halliday continuing to stay absolutely red hot. And now the batter will be Brody Genter. First pitch to Genter is taken for strike 1. The 0-1 is foul tipped into the mid. Count now 0-2. The 0-2 to Genter is swung on and skied out to right. Right fielder has a beat on it, has to run in, but makes the catch. So the next batter is Jack Reynolds.
Reynolds stepping in for Caleb Ramsey. He's out with a thumb injury. Definitely has some big shoes to fill.
And he'll take the first pitch inside for ball one. And next pitch is skied out to the third base side, and that ball's going to sneak out of play. Count now 1-1. So we're all even at ones here on the board. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Next pitch is inside. Count now 2-1. Next pitch. And that ball's also inside. So count now moves to the hitter's count of 3-1. And that pitch is in there for a strike. So count now moves to 3-2. Here's the payoff. And it's swung on and foul back, so we'll do it again. Count remains. 1 out here. Brian currently leading 3-0 on 3 hits because all the runs have been home runs so far. Here's another payoff, and that ball is inside and low. So now the Lions have a runner at first base with 1 out, and that'll bring up Logan Stradley. Here's the pitch. And a big swing and a miss, but the ball gets away from the catcher, so Reynolds will move up to second. Lions with a good opportunity right here with only 1 out to extend their lead. Here's the 0-1. And that one almost comes in and gets him, but the count will now move to 1-1. Here's the 1-1. And that pitch is low. Count moves to 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Swung on and chopped to the third base side, but foul. So now count evens up at 2-2. Here's the pitch. And he swings and misses for strike 3. So now 2 outs, runner at second. And we're back to the top of the lineup in Cyrus Campos. Cyrus homered his last at bat, led off the game with a home run. And the first pitch is in there for strike 1. Here's the 0-1 offer. And that one just off the mark. Count moves to 1-1. The 1-1 And that pitch is upstairs. Count moves to 2-1. Lions hitters doing a really good job to get ahead in these counts. Here's the 2-1. Swung on and popped up to left center field. Center fielder ranges almost to the track, makes the catch for out number 3. Lions get another one in this inning off of a solo shot. Let's see if Lindsay Wilson can answer after this break. Here we now go in the top of the third. Another new arm for the Lions as Logan Sullivan will step on the mound. Brian seemed to be doing a staff day, getting all their pitchers maybe an inning or two. Here's the first pitch from Sullivan, and that ball is low, skips away from the catcher, Jaron Morris, ball 1. Here's the 1-0. And that pitch appeared to be just a bit low. Count now moves to 2-0. And the next pitch is fly ball to shallow right field. And Didi called it, but Cook makes the catch. So now 1 out here. And in steps the 2-hole Duran. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled straight back at us. Count now 0-1. Here's the 0-1, and that pitch is outside. Count now even. 1-1 delivery is maybe just a bit low. Count now moves to 2-1. Next pitch is Look good, but count now moves to 3-1. The 3-1 from Sullivan is grounded foul down the first baseline. Count now 3-2. We're full up, 1 out, nobody on for Lindsay Wilson. Here's the payoff. Swung on and fouled off. Lions currently have a 3-0 lead off of 3 solo shots. 2 in the first inning, and then an oppo home run by Morgan Halliday, the big Canadian, in the second. Here's another payoff, and it's grounded foul. Another payoff pitch, and that pitch just off the mark, so Lindsay Wilson will have a base runner here with 1 out. So now that'll bring up Stewart, the 3-hole, who K'd his last AB. First pitch from Sullivan is grounded through the left side, so that'll be a single. Lindsay Wilson now has something cooking. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Ball was placed perfectly between shortstop and third. Nobody was getting to that one.
With that ground ball single, that makes the first hit of the game for Lindsay Wilson.
Still 1 out here, runners at first and second, and here's the pitch from Sullivan, and it's skied deep to right center. Will it get out? And it will. So that ball gets over the wall, and we are now tied off of a 3-run bomb. So it's a base on ball, a single, and then a home run that ties us here at 3 here in the third. Still only 1 out here in the inning, but base is now cleared. And the next pitch is fouled off to the right side. Here's the 0-1. And that pitch is grounded foul towards the third base side. Sullivan in a really good opportunity right here to record the second out of the inning. Currently up 0-2. Here's the pitch. And swung on and chopped to the third baseman, Curcio, who drops steps, catches it, throws it across the diamond. And they're going to call him safe. The first baseman, Genter, had to jump up in the air to catch the ball, and umpire signaled that he did not land on the base in time, and that is going to be an error. So the first error of the game is recorded here in the third, and still only 1 out here. Really good job right there from Sullivan, though, after giving up a 3-run bomb to get back at the hitter, attack the zone. And his next pitch is fouled off towards the first base side. Here's the 0-1. And that pitch is inside. Count now even at 1-1. Next pitch from Sullivan is lined and caught by Didi, who throws it to first, but not in time. So there's the second out of the inning. A really nice catch right there by Denaj Williams at second base. So now 2 outs, runners still on first. The pitch. And that one skips away from Jaron Morris. Runner will advance to second base. So now runner in scoring position for Lindsay Wilson with 2 outs. Count now 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And that is just low. Count moves to 2-0. Here's the 2-0. And that one just off the mark, so count now 3-0. And the 3-0, he got the green light, and it gets past the left fielder. So the runner will score. Lindsay Wilson will take the lead, and the runner will scoot on to second. Ball was absolutely laser, but it seemed to be kind of misread by the left fielder, Jack Reynolds. Lindsay Wilson now leading 4-3. Here's the next pitch from Sullivan, and batter shows bunt, but pulls back, ball 1. Next pitch from Sullivan is hit very hard and very far, but also well foul. Count now even at 1-1. Next pitch from Sullivan is hit high and deep to left field, and that ball just barely gets out. So it's a 2-run bomb. Score now 6-3, Lindsay Wilson. And we now see, looks to be Corey Reinhardt going out for a mound visit. Okay, still 2 outs here in the top of the third. Lindsay Wilson has already put up a 6 spot in this inning and now leads by 3.
The 9-hole Sanchez steps into the box.
First pitch from Sullivan is in there for strike 1. Here's the 0-1 from Sullivan. And it's grounded to the second baseman, Denaj, who gloves it, throws it to first. Genter catches it. And there's the third out. So Lindsay Wilson does respond by putting up a 6 spot as they now lead 6-3. And we'll see if the Lions can get some back after this break. All right, here we now go in the bottom of the third. Lions need to respond to the 6 spot put up by Lindsay Wilson as they currently behind by 3. And the first batter inning will be Jaron Morris, who had a home run in his first AB. First pitch to Jaron is high, ball 1. Here's the 0-1 to Morris, and that one is called a strike. Count now even at 1-1. Next pitch to Morris is called a ball. Count now moves to 2-1. The 2-1 is low and outside. Count now at a dangerous 3-1. Here's the pitch. Swung on and hit very foul, but also a very long way. So the count now will be full. Wind starting to pick up a little bit here. Here's the payoff. And that ball is inside, almost gets him, but he will take a walk. So the Lions have their leadoff aboard. And that'll bring up the dangerous Will Curcio. First pitch to Curcio is inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-0 to Curcio. And he swings and hits a drive up the middle, base hit. So Lions quickly have 2 aboard here with nobody out, and that'll bring up the captain, Cade Cook. We also have a pinch runner at second base. Jackson Ballou is going to run for Jaron Morris. No outs here. Runners at first and second. Here's the first pitch to Cook. And that one almost runs in and gets him. And they say it did clip him. So now the bases will be loaded for Denaj Williams. And Lindsay Wilson's coach going to ask if it... he can't really overturn the call or anything, but I guess he's asking where it hit him maybe. I don't know. Was kind of a late call.
Yeah, he might be asking for some help on that one, but there's really no shot of that getting overturned.
If it does get overturned, we might see Jordan Day get ejected. All right, so nothing happening. Still no outs here. Base is now loaded for the Lions. And in steps Denaj Williams. Telling you, he can give the Lions a lead right here with one swing of the bat. Here's the pitch. And that one's just off the mark for ball one. Count now 1-0. And here's the pitch. Swung on. Big swing right there, but fouled off. And it hit off his foot. So count now even at 1-1. No doubt in my mind he was looking for a grand slam on that swing.
Yeah, he saw that fastball early. Looked like he was all over it.
Next pitch is in there for strike two. So count now 1-2 here. Here's the pitch. And that pitch is high. Count now even at 2-2. The 2-2 home is fouled right back at us. So we'll do it again. Count remains 2-2 here. No outs. Bases loaded. So here's another 2-2 delivery. And that pitch is off the mark. So count is now full at 3-2.
With that changeup, I think Denaj has seen this pitcher's whole arsenal.
Here's the payoff. Swinging a high fly ball to right field, and it's shallow. Second baseman calling everybody off. He'll make the catch. No tag from third from Jackson Ballou. So now one out here. Base is still loaded, and in steps Morgan Halliday, who had a home run in his last at-bat and has a chance to hit his third grand slam of the season right here. Here's the first pitch to Halliday. And he'll look at strike one. Here's the 0-1. Swing and hit high and foul down the third base side. So count now moves to 0-2. Here's the 0-2. And that pitch is high and outside. Count now 1-2. The 1-2 to Halliday is inside and low. Good block by the catcher right there. Runners are going to stay put, but count evens up at 2-2. Next pitch to Halliday is low, so we're going to have another 3-2 count right here. Here's the payoff. And he swings and foul tips it into the mitt for out number 2. And that'll bring up Brody Genter. So now 2 outs here, bases still loaded. First pitch to Genter is tapped back to the mound. Pitcher gloves it, and he'll flip it to first. So the first 3 base runners for the Lions get on, but they can't capitalize on it as they don't score a single run. Lindsay Wilson still leads 6-3. We'll be back after this break. Here we now go in the top of the 4th. Lions not able to answer back. They still trail 6-3. And there is another new arm on the mound for the Lions. It's Ty Nettles, an absolute flamethrower.
First appearance of the season for Ty Nettles.
Here's the first pitch. And that pitch is low and outside, ball 1. Lions need a clean inning right here. Try to get in the dugout as quickly as possible. Here's the 1-0. And that pitch is called a strike. Count now 1-1. Next pitch from Nettles is swung on and missed, and what an ugly swing that was. Count now 1-2. Here's the pitch. And that pitch is in there for strike 3. So Ty Nettles, in his first appearance of the year, the first batter he faces, he strikes him out. And now there's one down. Next pitch from Nettles is low. Count 1-0. Here's the 1-0. And that one is well inside. So count now 2-0. The 2-0 is inside once again. So count now moves to 3-0. Here's the 3-0. And that one's in there. That's middle for a strike. Count now at 3-1 here, 1 out. Lindsay Wilson currently leading 6-3. And Nettles' next pitch is low and inside. So he strikes out the first guy and walks the next. And that'll bring up the 3-hole Stewart. Next pitch from Nettles is swung on and missed. Count now 0-1. Seems to be the theme this game. The Lions will give up a 4 to 5 pitch walk, and then the very next batter, they'll attack the zone. As that one's in there, count now moves to 0-2. Nettles in a good position right here to get the strikeout or maybe a 2-ball. And the next pitch is low. Count now 1-2.
The hitter Stewart singled in his last at bat to get the hitting started for Lindsay Wilson.
Here's the pitch, and a big swing and a miss. So there's Nettles' second strikeout of the inning. Two outs now, runner at first. And here's a pitch from Nettles. And it's grounded to the right side. Cyrus dives, but it goes off of his glove. So now runners at first and second with 2 outs. Obviously, that is going to be ruled a hit. Here's the pitch. And that pitch is low and outside for ball one. The 1-0. And that ball is in the dirt. Count now 2-0. Here's the 2-0 from Nettles. And it's fouled off towards the first base side. Count now 2-1 here, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. And that ball is low. Count now moves to 3-1. The 3-1 offer is in there for strike two. Count now full here, 2 outs, runners at first and second. Lindsay Wilson currently leading 6-3 here in the fourth. The pitch is grounded to shortstop and past the diving Campos, but they will get the ball in quickly, so no runners will score, but now Lindsay Wilson has the bases loaded with 2 outs.
Nettles is running into some tough luck here. These balls aren't exactly hard hit.
Here's the pitch from Nettles, and it's grounded to the second baseman, Didi, who flips it to Campos for the 3rd out. So nothing doing here in this top half of the inning. Lions still trail 6-3. We'll be back after this break. Here we now go in the bottom of the fourth. Lions still trail by 3, score currently 6-3. And the first batter will be Jack Reynolds. And he'll look at the first pitch inside corner for strike one. The 0-1 is swung on and missed. Definitely got fooled by that pitch. Count now 0-2. And the next pitch is fouled right back at us. Count now still at 0-2. So we'll do it again. Here's the 0-2, and that pitch is outside for ball one. Here's the 1-2 offer. And that pitch is just upstairs. Count now even at 2-2. Here's the 2-2 home. And he'll foul it off to the first base side. So we'll do it again. Count remains 2-2 here. And the next pitch is outside, so we are now full here with nobody out. Here's the payoff. And a swing and a miss. Ball did hit the dirt, but the catcher will throw it on the first to complete the out. And that'll bring up Logan Stradley. Here's the first pitch to Stradley, and that one almost runs in and gets him. Count 1-0. The 1-0 offer is low. Count now moves to 2-0. Lions still waiting for Stradley to get really hot. He's kind of had a slow start as he'll ground that one foul down the third base side.
Yeah, Stradley's definitely had a slow start, but he's still been hitting home runs. It's just about every other week, about every weekend that he picks up one or two. It's just that consistent hitting.
Here's the 2-1, and a swing and a miss. Count now even at 2-2. The 2-2 home is upstairs. Count now full. Here's the payoff. And he swings and hits a line drive over the shortstop's head. And that one's going to fall in for a base hit. And that'll flip the lineup over. Now up to bat is Cyrus Campos, the leadoff. Campos flied out his his second AB, but hit a home run in the first. Still only one out here. First pitch to Campos is in there for strike one. Here's the 0-1 to Campos, and he swings and hits a fly ball to center field. Center fielder comes in just a little bit, and he'll squeeze it for out number 2. So now the batter will be Jaron Morris, who reached on balls his last AB and then hit a home run in the first following Campos' home run.
Be really good for the Lions to scratch one here.
First pitch to Morris is lined right back up the middle for a base hit. And Straley's going to try to go 3, and he will get there. Throw is late and a little offline. So really good heads-up base running back there over there by Logan Stradley. And now the Lions have him at the corners with 2 outs. Batter will now be Will Curcio. Curcio K'd in his first AB, but singled in the last AB. And a single right here would be really huge for the Lions to try to cut Lindsay Wilson's lead down a little bit. First pitch to Curcio is in the dirt. Once again, Jackson Ballou running for Jaron Morris. Here's the 1-0. And Curcio hits a slow roller foul down the third base side. Count now even at 1-1. Here's the 1-1. And Ballou takes off. And he's now caught in a rundown. And Stradley's going to get back to third safely. And, in fact, everybody's going to get back to their bag safely. So Ballou took off to second. Maybe he knew he was going to get thrown out or something because he didn't even attempt to slide. Got in the rundown. Both runners back safely here. Still 2 outs. Count now 2-1 to Curcio. Here's the 2-1. And that pitch is low for ball 3. So Curcio now in a really good hitter's count.
This is a big spot for Will to continue his heater.
Here's the 3-1. And that pitch is low, ball 4. So now the bases are loaded here with 2 outs. And that'll bring up Cade Cook. And Lindsay Wilson's, not sure if it's their pitching coach or their head coach, but they're going to have a mound visit. So no pitching change here. Bases are loaded. 2 outs. Lions trailing 3, and the batter is Cade Cook. First pitch to Cook is inside, and it hits him. So a run will come in off of a hit by pitch. Score now 6-4. And that's Cook's second hit by pitch this game. Another pitch that just barely nicked him enough. But, I mean, if I'm the Lions, I'm taking that right now. Next batter will be Denaj Williams.
Yeah, I was about to say, Cookie's been hit twice, and I don't know if he felt either of them.
Must have been the wind. Denaj takes strike 1. So far, nothing doing for Williams this game. He's grounded out and popped out, but he's in a good opportunity right here to tie this game or even take the lead. Here's the pitch, and he grounds it foul. Count moves to 0-2. Two outs here. Count currently 0-2 to Williams. Bases are juiced. And he swings and hits a little flare toward the third base side. And it's going to get down, but foul. So we'll do it again. Count remains 0-2 here. Here's the 0-2. And he swings and hits a pop-up to left center. Center fielder calling the left fielder off, and he'll squeeze it for the third out. So the Lions cut down Lindsay Wilson's lead off of a bases-loaded hit-by pitch that hit Cade Cook. We'll be back after this break. And here we go now in the top of the fifth. Another new face on the mound for the Lions as it's the Silver Fox, Chris Hall. Hall's first pitch is low. Ball one. Here's the next pitch. And that ball is hit pretty well out to right center. And it's going to crash up against the wall. Runner will coast into second. So Lindsay Wilson with a leadoff double here in the fifth. Chris Hall, lucky that ball didn't travel further. Was also a good effort out there by Stradley. He definitely laid it all out. Ran straight into the wall to try to make the catch, but couldn't get it done. So no outs here. Runner at second. And here's the pitch. Ball is low. Here's the 1-0 from Hall. And that one's grounded foul down the third base side. Count now even up at 1-1. Here's the pitch. And that ball is hit really high to center field. Stradley has a beat on it. He'll catch it and get it into third, but not in time. So runner tags from second on the deep fly ball to center field. One out here, runner at third.
Be a big spot for Chris to pick up his first strikeout.
Infield playing in, trying to prevent the run. The pitch from Hall is low. Good block by Jaron Morris. Keep that runner from coming home, but count is now 1-0. Here's the 1-0 from Hall, and a big swing and a miss, so count now evens at 1-1. The 1-1 is inside, and it skips away from Morris, but not even an effort at third base to score. Not really sure why. Maybe he thought that it hit the batter. I don't know. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I feel like even with a bad read, he could have scored on that one. That ball almost rolled all the way into the dugout.
Here's the 2-1. And swinging a pop-up to shallow center field. And nobody's going to get it. It falls right in the middle of no man's land.
That's just tough luck there. You have to play with the infield in.
Yeah, if the infield's not playing in, if they're playing normal depth, Campo's probably going to make that catch. So the score now is 7-4, Lindsay Wilson. One out here, runner at first. Here's the pitch, and batter squares to bunt, but completely misses. Count 0-1. Next pitch from Hall. Runner takes off. Ball popped up foul down the first base side. So count will now be 0-2. Really good opportunity for Chris Hall right here. Maybe pick up a strikeout or even a 2-ball. Here's the 0-2. Runner takes off again. Ball high, and oh, man. A really good throw by Jaron Morris, but Denaj Williams tried to put the tag on before he caught it and completely whiffs it, so the runner will steal second. Count will now go to 1-2. Here's the 1-2. And that pitch just off the mark. Count now even at 2-2. Here's the next pitch. And that ball is rolled over to the third baseman, Curcio, who looks the runner back. And he looked the runner back to second, threw it across. A good pick right there from Brody Genter, but nobody covered third, so the runner at second advances. Now 2 outs. Here's Hall's next pitch. And that one's in there for strike one. Next pitch from Hall is skied toward the third base side, but well foul. So now the count moves to 0-2 here with 2 outs. Hall in a really good spot to get out of this inning. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for strike 3. Lindsay Wilson puts one across. They now lead 7-4. Let's see if the Lions can respond after this break. We are now ready for the bottom of the 5th inning, and the first batter will be Morgan Halliday. Halliday struck out his last AB, but in his first AB, he hit an opposite field home run. Lions currently losing 7-4 here. And the first pitch is in there. Also a new pitcher for Lindsay Wilson. Here's the 0-1. And that one's in there for strike 2. So 2 off speeds in a row landed for strikes. Halliday quickly behind 0-2.
The pitcher for Lindsay Wilson is freshman Levi Wade.
And the 0-2 is in the dirt and outside. Count now 1-2. Here's the 1-2. And a swing and a miss. So quickly 1 gone here in the bottom of the 5th, and that'll bring up Brody Genter. First pitch to Genter is called a strike, count 0-1. Lions offense needs to get rolling here soon as we're in the 5th inning and we're entering into the later parts of this game. Next pitch is maybe just a bit out, count evens at 1-1. The 1-1, and that one's in there for a strike, count now 1-2. Here's the 1-2 to Genter. And that one low. I think Lindsay Wilson's catcher might have disagreed with that as he was ready to throw the ball to third. but count now even at 2-2. Next pitch is swung on and hit very hard to left, and it'll get over the left fielder's glove. Genter trying to stretch it into 2, and he will get there sliding safely. So it's a 1-out double for the Lions, and that'll bring up Jack Reynolds. First pitch to Reynolds is low and inside for a ball. Look to be once again another off-speed pitch from the Lindsay Wilson pitcher. Here's the 1-0. And that pitch is also low and inside. Count now moves to 2-0. Here's the 2-0 to Genter. Or not Genter, to Reynolds, I mean. And it's a strike, so count now moves to 2-1. The 2-1 offer is swung on and hit fouled towards the Lion dugout. So now the count evens up at 2-2 here. 1 out, runner at second. Lions currently trailing 3, score is 7-4. And that pitch is low and gets away. So Genter will move up to third here with 1 out. And a good opportunity right here for Reynolds to pick up an RBI. Count is also now full. Here's the payoff pitch. And swung on and hit to the right side. And it'll get past the right fielder's glove as he was diving. So the run will score, and Reynolds trying for a triple. And he will slide in safely. So an RBI triple from Reynolds. And the Lions now only trail 7-5. Great piece of hitting right there by Reynolds, just putting bat on the ball. Not doing too much. Ends up getting a triple out of it. So Lions once again in a good opportunity to scratch another one across. Logan Stradley at the plate, runner at third with only 1 out. First pitch to Stradley is a breaking ball in there for strike 1. Next pitch to Stradley is swung on and missed. So count now moves to 0-2 here. Here's the 0-2. And that pitch is low and outside. Count moves to 1-2. The 1-2 is swung on and hit to the shortstop, who gloves it and throws it across for the second out. But another run will cross. And now the score is 6-7. So now 2 outs here, nobody on, and in steps the leadoff, Cyrus Campos. Campos with 2 flyouts and a home run. And he'll look at the first pitch in there for strike 1. Here's the 0-1 to Campos. And he swings and hits a high pop up to center field. Center fielder ranges in and will squeeze it for the third out. Lions put up a 2 spot here in the bottom of the 5th, making this a 1-run game. Score is currently 6-7. And we'll be right back after this break. We're now ready for the top of the 6th. Another new face on the mound for the Lions, Bryce Lichty. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a foul ball that was an absolute rocket hit the top of the Lions dugout and almost hits Lindsay Wilson's first base coach. Maybe it grazed his arm or something. That ball was absolutely smoked. Good job right there by Bryce Lichty, the big ginger, to go ahead and get ahead in this count. Here's the 0-1. And a good breaking ball right there. Nice backdoor. Count now moves to 0-2. Here's the 0-2. And swung on a miss, strike 3. Morris puts the tag on the runner. So Lichty comes out of the bullpen and records a strikeout. Here's the next pitch. And it swung on and fouled off to the third base side. Once again, Lichty ahead early. Lindsay Wilson currently leading 7-6 here in the top of the 6th. And the 0-1 from Lichty is up. Count now even at 1-1. Here's the 1-1. And really bad check swing right there comes off the bat. So count now moves to 1-2.
Bryce is coming out of the pen, and he's coming straight at these hitters. Now he's in a really good spot to pick up his second out.
Here's the 1-2. Swing and hit to the third baseman, Curcio, who drops steps, gloves it, throws it across the diamond. Good stretch right there by Genter to record the second out. Quickly 2 away here. And Lichty's next pitch is in there for a strike. Here's the 0-1. And that pitch just inside, so count evens up at 1-1. The 1-1 is swung on and hit up the middle, base hit. So it's a 2-out single for Lindsay Wilson. Still 2 outs here. Here's the first pitch. And it's in there for a strike. Lichty wants ahead, getting ahead early. And a pickoff attempt. No good. Runner back safely. Count now 0-1. 2 outs here. Runner at first. Lions trail 1. Here's the 0-1. And it's popped up. Foul right behind the net. So that'll bring the count now to 0-2.
Another 2-strike count for Bryce.
And runner takes off, but is swung on and missed. A great inning from the Jolly Ginger, Bryce Lichty. Let's see if the Lions can tie this game up after this break. We're now a go for the bottom of the 6th. Lions currently down a run. And the first batter this inning for the Lions is number 27, Jaron Morris. Jaron singled his last AB, reached base on ball 4, his second AB, and hit a home run his first AB. And he'll take the first pitch outside, ball 1. Here's a 1-0 to Morris. And that one's in there for a strike. Count now even, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And swinging a pop-up in the infield. And third baseman calls for it. He will catch it. So there's the first out of the inning. And now the batter will be Will Curcio.
Will's had a slow day for his standards. Single and a walk and a strikeout.
Here's the first pitch to Curcio. And that's in there for strike 1. The 0-1 is outside and high. Count now even, 1-1. Next pitch to Curcio is popped up first base side. And judging by the reaction of the Lindsay Wilson dugout, that ball was not caught. We couldn't really see it. And it's not, so count moves to 1-2. Here's the 1-2 to Curcio. And that pitch well out. Count even, 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and hit foul. And so we'll do it again. Next pitch to Curcio is outside and low. So now we are in a full count. Here's the payoff to Curcio. And that pitch is inside, ball 4. So Curcio once again reaches on base. And now the batter will be Cade Cook. There's also a new arm on the mound for Lindsay Wilson I forgot to mention. Charlie's getting me the name for it real quick. Go ahead, Charlie.
It's Collier White, toe in the rubber for Lindsay Wilson.
It appeared that first pitch, Cook might have checked his swing, and they said he went, so count 0-1 now. Here's the 0-1. And that one in there for strike 2, so Cook quickly behind. Here's the 0-2. And a swing and a miss from Cook. So now 2 outs here, runner at first, and that'll bring up Denaj Williams, who hasn't gotten on base so far this game.
He's had some long at bats and some advantage counts. Just hasn't found the barrel yet.
Here's his first pitch to him, and that one's inside and low, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 to Williams, and he'll look at that one for a strike. The 1-1 is in there for a strike. Count now 1-2 here with 2 outs. Curcio at first. Here's the pitch. Curcio takes off, swinging a high fly ball. Deep right field. Pucker up and kiss that one goodbye. See ya. Denaj Williams with one swing of the bat gives the Lions the lead. An absolute moonshot from Williams. That's what we're accustomed to seeing from him. Lions now lead 8-7, and the batter will be Morgan Halliday. Halliday struck out his previous 2 ABs. Has a home run in the first inning. First pitch, and it runs in and gets him. So it's a hit by pitch, and that'll bring up Brody Genter. Two outs, runner at first. Lions now lead 8-7.
Pitcher looked a little yipped up there after that bomb.
First pitch of Genter is fouled off down the third base side. Here's the 0-1. And that one is in there. Catches the outside corner. Count now 0-2. Here's the 0-2. And that pitch is outside. Count now moves to 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Runner takes off for second. Pitch called a ball. And Halliday is in there. So he will have a stolen base. Runner now at second. Count now 2-2 to Genter here with 2 outs. Here's the 2-2 home. And Genter swings and hits a rocket, but right to the left fielder. I mean, he didn't even have to move to catch that one. So there's the third out, but not before Denaj Williams hits an absolute moonshot to give the Lions the lead. Score now 8-7. We'll be back after this break. All right, here we now go in the top of the 7th. And not a new face on the mound for the Lions. Bryce Lichty will go back out there. Coach has said he had a good enough last inning. He's going to get another. And his first pitch is low for ball 1. Next pitch from Lichty is outside, barely, ball 2. Here's the 2-0. And that pitch is in there, called strike 1. So the score is as followed. Lindsay Wilson has 7 runs on 9 hits, 0 errors. Lions have 8 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error, as that pitch is just off the mark. Count now moves to 3-1. Here's a 3-1 from Lichty. And that one's in there. So count is now full 3-2 here. And Lichty's pitch is grounded to the third base side, but foul. So we'll do it again. Count remains 3-2 here. Still nobody out. No runners on base.
Bryce is looking to pick up his 3rd strikeout of the day.
Here's the payoff. Swung on and once again hit foul toward the third base side. Here's the 3-2. Swung on and taps softly to third. Curcio gloves it, throws it across, and there's the first out. So a really good defensive play right there from Will Curcio. Lichty still looking sharp on the mound, doing something that most of the pitchers today really haven't done in getting ahead in counts. Here's the pitch, and that one hit right back at him, and Williams bobbles it. Oh, man. He definitely had a shot to get him at first, but we'll see how they score that. And they're going to score that as a hit. Ball was hit right back up the middle at Bryce Lichty. Unable to glove it. So now a runner at first here with 1 out. Lichty is still 1 pitch away for getting out of this inning. Actually, they will count that as an error.
That's really surprising to me.
That's surprising to me as well. That ball was really hard to get to. First pitch is fouled straight back. Here's the 0-1. And a hit to the second baseman, Denaj, who flips it to Campos. Campos, no throw to first.
That was a smart play by Campos and a good feed by Denaj.
Ball was just hit too slow to turn 2 right there as the runner was moving up the first baseline. But now there is 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Still a runner on first. And Lichty picks off to first. No good. Runner back safely. Here's the pitch. And that's in there. Strike one. The 0-1 is swung on and fouled off over the first base dugout. So just like that, Lichty is ahead 0-2 now here with 2 outs. Runners at first. Lions currently lead 8-7. And Lichty once again picks off to first. Runner still back safely. Here's the 0-2. And just off the mark apparently. Count will now move to 1-2.
Yeah, you could hear it. The Lions dugout thought that one was strike 3, as well as Will Curcio. He started to head back to the dugout.
Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. So 2 great innings of work from the Jolly Ginger Bryce Lichty. We'll be right back after this break.
And a quick thank you to our sponsors, BTC Fiber, El Toro, Wright Brothers Construction, and Dayton Ford. Thank you for sponsoring Bryan Baseball.
And here we go now in the bottom of the 7th inning. Lions currently lead 8-7, and the batter will be Jack Reynolds. And he'll look at the first pitch outside. New arm on the mound for Lindsay Wilson as well. And it'll be Juan Azar. And he'll throw one in there for strike 1. Count now even, 1-1.
Jack Reynolds picked up his first collegiate hit, a triple, RBI triple to start that inning.
Next pitch to Reynolds is outside, ball 2. Next pitch is outside and high, ball 3. Here's the 3-1, and that one is low and inside. So the Lions have their leadoff man aboard here, and that'll bring up Logan Stradley. Runner at first here, nobody out. Here's the first pitch to Stradley, and that one is low, ball 1. Here's the 1-0, and that pitch is low as well. Count now moves to 2-0. Here's the 2-0, and that one almost runs in and gets him, but the count will move to 3-0. Here's the 3-0, and that's a 4-pitch walk. So the Lions quickly have 2 aboard here, and that'll bring up Cyrus Campos, the leadoff, who already has a home run this game. Catcher calls time and is currently talking to the first baseman and the pitcher.
They're good one at a time. When you eat the whole handful.
Here's the first pitch to Campos, and that ball is outside. Count now 1-0 here. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Big opportunity right here for the Lions to extend their lead, give themselves some insurance. And that one's in there for a strike. This count now moves to 1-1. Here's the 1-1. And that ball is outside and high. Count moves to 2-1. Juan Azar looking kind of frustrated on the mound right now, not being able to find his command. Here's the 2-1. And that one's in there for a strike, so count evens out at 2-2. And Lindsay Wilson's going to call a timeout. Trying to see why. It looks like maybe they're...
I think this might be a pitch comm issue.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Maybe the batteries died or having some interference or something. Looks like they're going to switch it out. So, no outs here. Count currently 2-2. Cyrus Campos at the dish. Lions currently lead 8-7 here in the bottom of the 7th. Here's the 2-2. And that pitch is outside. Count now full. Here's the payoff. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So he blows the fastball by Campos. Runner still at first and second. That'll bring up Jaron Morris, who's had a really good game so far. He's homered, reached a base on balls, and hit a single so far.
This is definitely a time to be selective.
First pitch to Morris is inside, almost gets him, but he gets out of the way, ball 1. Here's the 1-0. Outside and low, count moves to 2-0. Here's the 2-0. Swinging a high pop-up, and that ball's going to get out of play. So count now moves to 2-1. And the next pitch to Morris is fouled straight back. So count 2-2. Here's the 2-2 offer. And that pitch is low. Count now full. Here's the payoff. And Morris hits one over the second baseman. It drops him for a base hit. 1 run will come in. Other runner will scoot to third. So an RBI single for Jaron Morris. Score now 9-7, Lions lead.
That's just a really good piece of 2-strike hitting there. Got the hands extended and flipped it over the second baseman.
And that'll bring up Will Curcio. Curcio having a slow day for himself, which is crazy to say because he has a single and 2 walks. Runners now at the corners. Jackson Ballou still running for Jaron. And the first pitch Curcio sees is flied out to right field. Right fielder has a bead on it. He'll put the squeeze on it, but Logan Stradley will tag from third and come in to score. Lions now lead 10-7. Take him any way you can get him. And now that'll bring up Cade Cook. Cook has a ground out, a strikeout, and 2 hit by pitches today. Here's the first pitch to Cook. And a big swing and a miss right there. He was trying to go yak. Here's the 0-1. Runner takes off. Swing and a miss from Cook. Throw down not nearly in time. So a stolen base for Jackson Ballou. Runner now at second, 2 outs. Count now 0-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on and hit deep to center field. It's going! It's going! It's gone! See ya! Cade Cook to right center field. Extend the Lions' lead. Score is now 12-7.
And the Lions are starting to break this game open here in the bottom of the 7th.
An 0-2 bomb from Cade Cook, and the Lions have put up a 4 spot. Next batter will be Denaj Williams. Here's the pitch, and it's low and inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-0, and Williams fouls it back, count even at 1-1. The 1-1 to Williams. Big swing and a miss. Count moves to 1-2. Denaj homered his last AB. That homer gave the Lions the lead. Oh, and that curveball definitely got away from him. Hit Didi square in the arm, right where it doesn't need to be hit, as he flings the bat at the dugout. Not really sure what the dugout did to him, but that's definitely going to hurt a little bit. Look, maybe hit him in the forearm, maybe the elbow area, and he's taking his time. Batter now, Morgan Halliday. Yeah, Didi definitely in some pain right now. But he will still run. He's like Taylor Swift. He just shakes it off. And that ball gets to the backstop, so Denaj Williams will go to second. Batter, once again, is Morgan Halliday, and Lindsay Wilson's going to make a call to the bullpen, so we will be back after this break. Here we are back. Batter is Morgan Halliday. Denaj Williams at second. Pitching change for Lindsay Wilson. Pitcher comes into the game with a 1-0 count. And that pitch gets away, goes to the backstop. So Denaj Williams once again scoots up on a pass ball. The new pitcher for Lindsay Wilson is Gannon Herring. Count now 2-0. Catcher went to go talk to him, maybe a mix-up on signs. Halliday in a good hitter's count. Here's the pitch. And that breaking ball is in there for a strike. Count now 2-1. Two outs, runner at third. Here's the pitch. And that ball is low. So count now moves to 3-1 for the big Canadian. Here's the 3-1 offer. And that pitch is outside. So Halliday draws the walk with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Brody Genter. Genter does have a double today. He also does have some sneaky pop. He's liable to send one over the fence at any moment. Runners at the corners, 2 outs. Here's the first pitch to Genter. And really nasty breaking ball right there, but it is out of the zone for ball 1. That breaking ball broke a ton. Not sure if maybe it was a slider or a curveball. I'd be a combination of both. Might have been a slurve. And he does land that breaking ball for a strike, so count now 1-1. Here's a 1-1 offer. And another breaking ball that misses high. So count now 2-1. And a pickoff attempt to third. Something rarely seen. Denaj Williams back safely. I haven't seen a pickoff attempt to third since I was in 4th grade. Here's the 2-1. And another slider that's popped up to right field. Right fielder calls off the second baseman, and he will squeeze it for the 3rd out. But not before the Lions put up a 4th spot here in the 7th, including a 2-run bomb by Cade Cook. We'll be right back after this break. Here we go now in the top of the 8th. A new arm on the mound for the Lions. Ryan Ely, the sidearm, looking to come in here, get 3 up, 3 down, get the Lions back in the dugout. Lions currently leading 12-7. Here's the first pitch. And swing, and it's fouled back. Batter is currently the 2 spot, Duran. Here's the 0-1. Swinging a pop-up into the infield. Curcio calling everybody off, and he will squeeze it for the first out in front of the mound. So Ely retires the first batter he sees, and now he's going to face a 3-spot Stewart. Next pitch from Ely is a breaking ball that's low. Count 1-0. Here's the 1-0 from Ely. Big swing and a miss. Count now 1-1. The 1-1 is a swung on and missed slider. Count now 1-2. Batter certainly taking his sweet time getting into the box. Here's the 1-2 from Ely. And it's a slider. It's foul tipped. Count now 1-2. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 on a slider. Ely makes quick work of the first 2 batters he sees. Next pitch from Ely is a slider just off the mark. Count 1-0. Next pitch is low. It's a low slider. Count now moves to 2-0. And count now moves to 3-0 as that ball is inside and low. And that is a 4-pitch walk as that slider just missed the zone. So now runner at first with 2 outs. Brian currently leads 12-7 here. Here's the pitch. And that's in there for strike 1. The 0-1. Oh, man, a really good pitch right there. It's called a ball. Count now 1-1. The 1-1 is low. Count moves to 2-1. And that one's in there. Count evens at 2-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled back, so we'll do it again. Here's the 2-2. And that pitch is outside and low, so we are now full. Count is 3-2 here, 2 outs, runner at first. The payoff is chopped to first base. Genter fields it, and he will step on first. So a very clean inning right there from Ryan Ely. We will now head to the bottom of the 8th after this break. We're now ready for the bottom half of the 8th. Stepping up to the plate is Jack Reynolds.
He's got 2 walks, a triple, and a strikeout today.
And he'll look at a breaking pitch for strike 1. Next pitch to Reynolds is low and outside. The 1-1 is outside and low. Count moves to 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Oh, my breaking pitch that really got away from him almost hits Reynolds, but the count will move to 3-1.
Jack way ahead. Definitely a good spot to get the leadoff man on.
And a big swing and a miss right there, so count is now full 3-2 here. The payoff is swung on and hit high to the third base side. Third baseman with plenty of room, and he will put the squeeze on it for out number 1. So that'll bring up Logan Stradley. Stradley has a base on balls and a single this game. Here's the first pitch to him, and he swings and hits a hard grounder foul to the third base side. And a bad error over there from a Lindsay Wilson player. Wasn't able to grab it. Couldn't make the barehanded play. Count now 0-1 to Stradley. Here's the pitch, and that pitch is way off the mark. Really high and outside. Count moves to 1-1. The 1-1 is swung on a miss. Count now 1-2. The 1-2 home is a breaking ball that's outside. Count evens out at 2s. Here's the 2-2. And he swings and hits a fly ball to right field. And the right fielder makes the catch right before it hits the ground. So now 2 outs. And that'll bring up the leadoff, Cyrus Campos.
Campos homered to lead off the game. Has had a couple of hard hit balls, 3 flyouts. His later at bats.
And he'll look at the first pitch in there for strike 1. So here's the 0-1 to Campos. And he looks at a pitch outside and low. Count evens out at 1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Outside and high. Count moves to 2-1. The 2-1. And he checks his swing. Umpire calls it a strike anyway. So count now evens out at 2-2 here with 2 outs. Lions currently leading 12-7 here in the bottom of the 8th. The 2-2 is hit sharply to second, and a nice play out there by the second baseman who gloves it, throws it to first for the 3rd out. A great diving play right there by the second baseman for Lindsay Wilson. And the Lions will go back out to the field here in the top of the 9th. They're 3 outs away from recording the win. We'll see if they can do it after this break. We are now a go for the top of the ninth. Lions currently 3 outs away from closing this game out and catching the dub. Ryan Ely still on the bump, one of the 2 pitchers today that's going to see a second inning. First pitch is low for ball 1. Next pitch from Ely is grounded to the second baseman, Williams, who gloves it and quickly throws it to first. And there's the first out of the ninth. So now 1 out here in the ninth. Next pitch from Ely is a disgusting slider that the batter completely buckled on. Count 0-1. Next pitch is another slider, but that one a little low. Count now even at 1-1. Next pitch from Ely is hit down the third baseline, foul. Count now moves to 1-2.
Ryan Ely and Bryce Lichty both have done a fantastic job of getting hitters into 2-strike counts, getting ahead early. It's definitely the key to their success.
Here's the 1-2. Swinging a high fly ball to center field. Stradley has a bead on it. He ranges over and will squeeze it for the second out. So the Lions 1 out away from clinching this win.
There's a pinch hitter stepping up to the plate, Jalen Edmonds.
And he'll ground the first ball right back up the middle, almost hit Ely in the leg. So the pinch hitter gets on with a single. So now a runner at first here with 2 outs. Lindsay Wilson down to their last out as that ball is in there for strike 1. Next pitch from Ely is swung on and hit foul over the third base dugout. That ball almost hits a moving car. Thankfully, nobody's insurance is going to have to go up yet tonight. Here's the 0-2, and that ball is outside. Count now 1-2. Ely 1 strike away from sending us home. The 1-2 is foul tipped, and oh man, Jaron just could not hold on to it, so we'll do it again. Count remains 1-2. 2 outs here, runner at first. Here's the pitch. And not a bad miss right there from Ryan Ely. Count now evens out at 2-2. The 2-2 is swung on and hit softly and off of Ely's glove. Campos gloves it, throws it to first, and what a play to end it. So that's the ball game. Lions win 12-7, a great bounce back game after losing their last 2. Score is as follows. Lindsay Wilson, 7 runs on 10 hits with no errors. Brian Lyons, 12 runs on 11 hits with 2 errors. Great job tonight from the Lions. Everybody have a blessed night.